Well, I think one of the problems that the military has had with recruiting
Mm-hmm.
is because the young people in the school system don't have a chance to make acquaintance with African American families that have been in the military, that has grown and has done well.
Yeah.
So all they've been exposed to is that television in
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan and Vietnam and whatever, but they don't see that there are thousands and thousands of families that are African Americans that have done well, that have tentacles out there, and the whole family is stretching, and it all goes back to the armed forces.
It does.
Plus,
It does.
they don't realize how many different choices they can make by going into the military.
That's
They,
true.
all they think about is who's blowing up, who's getting killed, and their legs blown off.
Mhm.
It's a new day now. We'll never be back at that kind of war again.
No.
Okay? But you kind of cheat and you lose out
Mm-hmm.
if you don't look at a chance of getting a free education.
Yeah.
What kind of training you can get and how you can step out and set your family up
Mm-hmm.
and everything in a
Right.
very beneficial way.
Right.
And nobody really talks about that, but there are many, many African Americans that have large families, and I'm excited about getting you and Commander
Yeah.
Lyons and you people
Yeah.
together that's got these 16 and 20 some people.
Mm.
I have a list now that a number of families that have over 15 to 20 some people in their family
Mm-hmm.
that served in all the different branches of the military.
Yes.
I didn't know that was many people, but like I
Yeah.
said, I come from a false family. My
Mhm.
uncles and all of them that were drafted,
Mm-hmm.
all of them went. But
Yeah.
once the draft was over with, folks started disappearing and going on. But now all of a sudden, the ladies have said, "I'm going to be in the junior ROTC,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can get to the academy, I'm going to the academy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to get up and be successful. And my time's out. I'm coming back out in the corporate community,
Mm-hmm.
and look what we can do."
Yeah.
Now, this what was told to me by a lady the other day that I did not realize that this lady was a military vet.
Mm.
And she was a brigadier general.
Right.
And I have known her for 12 years. And I didn't know over the years, being in church, we've hugged each other and whatever else.
Mm.
And I didn't know whether I was supposed to step back and salute her or apologize or what I was supposed to do. So I asked her, I said, what, how could we have gone through this 18-year knowing each other and it not come up? And she put her hand on my shoulder. She said, "Commander, don't you feel bad about that?" She said, "Because let me tell you." She said, when men come home from the military, most of them want to take some time off and unwind.
Mhm.
I don't know why, because they've been unwinding all the time. She said, but when they come home, they don't have the things facing them
Mm.
that women have. She said, all of the field grade officers and people that I know from all around the place, and we retire, when we come home, we are grandmothers.
Mm.
So we got kids, grandkids.
Mhm.
They already have an assignment laid out for us. We trying to get out of the military,
Yeah.
and they've already laid out. They've been planning 3 years
Mhm.
for us to get out. So when we come out, they've already got stuff for us. She said at church, they've
Mhm.
already got stuff for us. Our sororities and everybody's kind of like, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, sister, we got you, okay?
Mhm.
And she said,
Mhm.
spiritually, we just can't wait to be back home where we know
Mhm.
that we can build a kind of faith-based connection that we've been waiting for over the years, because we've been shipped all over
Mhm.
the place.
I don't know. I used to combat is different. You understand? You being fired at about 200 or 300 men, sometimes like in the Vietnam War, and I used to see, and I was wondering, how would a woman soldier handle this? because you can only get so low to the ground. And you can snake crawl, and you can still get killed. In our Drink Valley, which I am probably one of the few still living from the Drink Valley incident in Vietnam. That was 39 men. The one platoon was killed without firing a shot. We fought for 11 hours and 45 minutes. And the enemy threw everything at us they had, even what we call a Gatling gun. Where they got it from, we don't know. But they brought it up through the mountain. But the colonel that you might have seen it on TV called We Were Soldiers. And there was a many killed in the 1st Air Cavalry in that fight. And if it wasn't for the brave men of the helicopters who disobeyed the lawful order to come in and save us, we all 1,500 men would have died in Drink Valley. But the fighting was so furious, the ricochets from trees was killing people. And you had young men and young boys crying for their mothers and their fathers who was dying and saying, I don't want to die. And these feelings went into the young men and that survived that. And today, many of them have passed on. Most of them came back and they wasn't the same people. And in that war, I was shot up, taken to a hospital. Was there 6 months. But the idea is that you ask yourself, how can any woman, handle this? Because sometimes when you call in artillery, the artillery hits too close to you and wipe out 15 or 20 of your own people. Sometimes you came brought in the plane would drop napalm. The napalm was too close to you, so it scorched the head, the eyebrows off of people that can't grow on back. And you wonder then, in something like this, would a woman be able to function?
Let me tell you what my answer to that is, okay? Mm-hmm. And I had guys that was in my group that was anti-women, combat, whatever. I put it to rest because I asked them, I said, have you ever given birth? Okay? And I asked them, I said, do you know anything about giving birth? And they said, no, are you crazy? I said, no, I'm just saying, while you going so far and deep with this, I said, what you're thinking about is you have ladies and women that are related to you. Mm-hmm. And you care so much about them that you don't even want to think about them. Mm-hmm. But being in the country, I was one of the best horsemen that was coming up around. You know what? One day, a girl came up and she said, I can ride just as well as you can. And I said, no, you can't. She said, yes, I can. I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I set her up on one of the horses we had that was bucking and whatever. Sister girl got on that horse and almost rolled the spots off of him. I said, you come back here, bring my horse, get down. Because I didn't want nobody else to know that she could ride just as well or better than me. But what I'm saying to you is, I think from this beginning, from Adam and Eve, we have always started with the fact, for some reason, that the male is the strongest of the two. And I'm here to tell you, I have some friends that are women that are stronger than some of my running partners, okay? So I'm saying it depends on the person. It really does. But we are never going to be back in that situation again.
I hope
we'll never have that. So we'll never have to choose, because now, did you see where the two sisters, both of them rose up to the rank of brigadier general? I mean, there are some women in the
Yes,
military
some-
now
some-
that's doing some amazing things.
And sometimes it scares me too. I was talking to a young lady not too long ago. I met her coming out of Walmart in Radcliffe. And within 5 years, she here first sergeant. But she never have went into combat or faced the things that she have been taken, written out of books,
Right.
and put them in place to pass these tests.
Yep.
But once you get into combat, it's a different story. It's people's lives that you are responsible for. And that's why I question that, because even in Vietnam, you had men that went crazy, and they went out into the woods, and they took the head off of people just like the Indians did, and they would scalp them, and they put them inside their shirt, and they would come back into the compound, and they'd be drenched with blood. And it reminded you that, you know, that guy sooner or later he's gonna be a serial killer. And they would go out and they would come back and just drenched. And you wonder today where the men's are. And then we had the other side. They would cut off the heads of living American soldiers and rip their stomach open, put the head in the stomach. It's some of the stuff that you see. It's not all bullet wounds.
Right.
You know, they do things to keep you, to mess you up in your mind on the battlefield psychologically. And that's why a lot of young men just sit outside the tree and start crying, and they took them off the battlefield that way. And I hope that that type of war will never come again in my time. And people see us walking around today, but a lot of us got so much medicine in us that's holding us up, pills after pills. And most of the VA does not have doctors, as per se. They have trainees from the different universities, but not true doctors. And therefore, a lot of us dying because of unprognosed medication, too much medication, and all these things are happening, and you see them. And I thought I'd never take a pill, you know, until I come out of combat, and then had all this medication. And once you start down that road, it's a terrible thing. And I tell people all the time, what you see in combat, my nightmares haven't stopped.
No.
And they'll never stop till I'm laid to rest. But you wake up squealing, screaming, and even until the day. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, dual seizures, all of these things, and it keeps me functioning. 3 bullet holes, legs don't move the way they used to move, and all of these things happens to you through combat. And some in worse conditions. Some of them was cut off along the thigh line. Both legs and thighs are gone. It's something, and I remember, you know, as a soldier, you remember these things, and I was delivered on a litter, carried on a litter, and IV in my own, back from Vietnam to Fitzsimmons General Hospital in Denver, Colorado. And there was a young man with me. He was shot through the forehead, and they had a tube running through his forehead, and that man, every vile word that is in the vocabulary of this man was being said, every curse word. And I mean, from Vietnam to Denver, Colorado, his mouth never stopped cursing. And this is combat. Combat, my father says hell, and it is. And that's what I hope none of these young people have to go through. And I think that's what Iran and America's may be at sooner or later. There'll be atomic war maybe one day, but I don't think so. I think they'll still have land warfare.
They're gonna have to have some part of it. Some of it's gonna have to be on the ground.